Shai, first of all, congratulations on becoming a father, and just wonder what this has been like for you to have such a long break here to embrace that, and then also kind of get yourself ready for this next series.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It's been fun. In the series, I'm ready for. I'm excited for this opportunity. Never been to the second round. Should be a good one.
Just this matchup with the Mavs, you guys have obviously seen them a few times already this season. Tell me about what you feel like this series is going to come down to on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, we've got a game plan. We've executed it very well in our last series. Because of it, we were able to win 4 games in a row. This group obviously presents different challenges. Really talented group. They're in the second round for a reason, and the farther you go in the playoffs, the better the teams get. And we know that. And it's just going to come down to us executing once again.
Shai, obviously, this is your first child. Congrats, by the way. So I wonder if you could describe what fatherhood feels like.
Yeah, it's a different type of love. Surreal. It's hard to wrap your head around. But it's for sure the best thing in the world, hands down.
How did you guys pick out his name, if you don't mind sharing?
So like me and Haley, we both like names that have like the first name starts with a letter, and then the last name is the same letter. And then we just like the name Aries. So we didn't the God of War thing. It didn't come into play.
Okay.
We just like the name. Sounds cool though.
So people have just had fun with that.
Yeah. And we'll run with it, but that's not why. Yeah.
Shai, you've talked so much about the influence that your dad had on your basketball youth and growing up. It's just to have a child of your own now. I mean, are you starting to have some of those memories flood back in the ways that you're going to want to maybe be a basketball influence, or maybe not?
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, all he cares about is Haley, so I haven't really got there. But yeah, it's amazing. It's going to be a blast. It'll be tough, but it'll be super fun, and I'm excited for sure.
How you do with the whole rust versus rest debate? I mean, 8 days from the last time you played. Are you worried about that? I mean, just getting back in the groove of things?
Not really. You go out there, play your hardest, control what you can control, and the outcome is the outcome. Rest, however long we get in between games. The NBA decides, we don't decide. So we can't control it, so there's nothing we can really do about it besides just give it our all when we get out there.
Did you do anything different from the last? Because you had a long break between your first series.
Like,
anything different?
Me personally?
Well, you or just the team itself?
It didn't feel like it. This time we had more time to prepare because it wasn't like the play-in, and obviously we could have played 4 different teams. We kind of knew it was kind of like down to 2 teams as soon as we were done, and then when Dallas won Game 6, yeah, we knew right away and had more days. So I guess we had a little more time to prepare.
Shai, you've gotten a chance to experience Paycom Center during the playoffs once. How much are you looking forward to experiencing that environment again?
Yeah, I can't wait. It's been too long. Yeah, our home crowd is amazing. It feels different. It gets us ready to go on the road. It's everything. It's a real home court advantage, so we love it. Can't wait.
What's the biggest challenge with them for you guys on the defensive end? Obviously, they got 2 world-class scorers, but the pick and roll, the lob game. Like, what's the biggest challenge for you guys?
The 2 world-class scorers, and then they just have a bunch of playmakers around those guys that are good and can do multiple things with the basketball: pass, dribble, shoot. They have lob threats. They have shooting. They're a well-balanced offense along with those 2 guys that can score. We don't overlook anybody. And like I said, they present their unique challenges, and we're just going to try to slow them down.
Mark was asked about guarding Luka, and he said, we got to make sure Lou gets on the bus to the arena. But, what else besides Lou playing that lockdown defense will be important against just all the things they can throw at you?
Yeah, it'll be a full team effort for sure. He is who he is for a reason, and no one guy slows him down. Now, we have one of the best, if not the best, perimeter defender in the NBA, and we'll lean on him a little bit. He knows that every night, but we know it's a full team effort, and it's going to take a lot of us to slow us down and get the job done.
All right, Shai, you had a decent sample size against them in the regular season. Just how they maybe changed after the deadline.
Yeah, clearly they got better on both ends of the floor. Kind of caught their stride after the deadline, after the All-Star break. But But yeah, I think the added size, versatility. Both of the guys they added are really good basketball players. When you add the basketball players, you get better as a team.
Do you remember much from that second game in Dallas when they won by 30, when they had Gafford and when they had Washington, Luka played, Kyrie played? What do you remember of that game, and are you concerned with that, or are there ways for you to correct that?
They beat the brakes off of us. It was a bad one. We didn't come to play. And when you don't come to play against a good team, that's what happens. But I think we'll be ready for game one.
You seem to be a creature of habit. You talked about it, a man of routine. How has your routine changed, and how have you adjusted to it in like a week and a half since your son was born?
Good question. Yeah, a lot kind of caters to like the needs of him and Haley, my wife. But Haley does a great job of still like making sure I get my work in, making sure I still have time to hoop. But outside of hoop, it's all them, as it should be.
You're a guy that's a good finisher around the basket. Obviously, Kyrie is that. From your perspective, how do you view him as a finisher and the things that he does? And is he somebody that you've watched over the years?
Yeah, he's a special talent. There's a lot of things on the basketball court at a really high level, and it's rare to see somebody that good at that many things. And his finishing around the basket is just one of many. But yeah, he's definitely a special talent.
Mark, you guys are now kind of back into a regular season rhythm in terms of practice, shoot around, game. You guys have talked about how valuable just the normalcy of that has been. How are you seeing that play out here as you prepare for the Maps?
We're excited to get back playing. You know, obviously it's been a little while. We've taken advantage of the rest and the practice time, hopefully, but now it's time to go. So get ready to shoot around tomorrow and get ready to play.
We were talking to Lou yesterday, and you had talked about there's two types of toughness, the throwing punches and the taking punches. Lou's so good at taking those punches when guarding those really good players. Is that something you've seen from him from the outset of like when you first met Lou, or is that something that you've seen him kind of develop over time?
No, he's always kind of had that. That's what's been pretty unique and special about him. And especially in that role, when you're guarding players as good as he's guarding night after night after night, they're going to get the best of you on a lot of possessions for sure. And they're going to get the best of you on some nights. And he's just a punching bag with that. He's got a great mentality. He's just an unbelievable competitor. And this, generally zooming out to the team, this is a series that you're going to have to take some punches. I mean, this is a heavyweight battle against a team that obviously can throw their punches. And so we're going to have to be ready for that.
Mark, what role do you expect Casey to play in this series?
We'll see. I mean, same, as it's been all year. I mean, the hardest thing is you prepare for game one, but once game one happens, then the series kind of unfolds from there. So I honestly don't know what role anybody's going to play in this series other than the way that we'll start things out tomorrow night.
They were one of the teams that, really kind of left Josh, especially early. How have you seen Josh get better since then? And do you kind of expect Dallas to deploy that strategy?
Yeah, they've done it. They did it in Dallas. They did it the second time in Dallas, and then they did it the last time here in Oklahoma City. So they've done it 3 times. Not the last game of the season. They didn't play their guys. But the other 3 games, they've cross-matched and plugged. It certainly was more bothersome to us early in the season. We've just gotten so much exposure to it since then that I think we've improved as a team in terms of understanding how to attack it. Josh has improved in terms of understanding the skills required to attack it. And he's also playing with a lot of confidence right now. So I do think they'll do it regardless of who's on the court. They've kind of shown that through the 3 games. So we're certainly expecting them to do that. And then we'll just see how we attack it.
Think about decisiveness. Is that the main thing?
Yeah, decisiveness, activity. Like if a team's playing you, in a static way, then if you're static, then you're playing into their hands. So getting whoever that is on the move, moving them into action, getting them cutting, offensive rebounding, those sorts of things, diversifying your portfolio a little bit makes it harder to be ignored.
And in the response to those coverages now, like with how much you've maybe seen them and seen what that looks like how much of it now just falls on execution from him?
Well, it's certainly not just execution from him because it's a team thing. number one. And number two, they don't just cross-match him. They've cross-matched a lot of our players throughout the course of the season. So they've done it to Dort, they've done it to Wiggins, they've done it to Kaysen. If we throw two bigs on the floor, they'll certainly do it there. So it's a team, endeavor. And then the other thing I'll say, I've said all along, is we got off to a really good start offensively this season. The first couple months of the season, we were one of the best offenses in the league. And what that did is it had teams showing their hand in terms of schemes against us. So we saw a lot of cross-matching and plugging. We saw a lot of zone. We saw a lot of double teaming of Shai specifically. And we saw that early in the year. And we didn't always handle it perfectly, but it's given us a ton of exposure to those things. It's given us a lot more comfort in attacking them. And that's a good thing, because now we're at a point where, in a series, teams are going to try every scheme to try to stop you, slow you down. And I don't think there's going to be much that anybody can throw at us at this point that we haven't seen in the course of the regular season.
Right after the trade deadline, when they traded for Gafford and Washington, I think it's the one game that both Luka and Kyrie played. They beat you guys down. Was there anything about that game that you remember that you learned about that game? Or, of course, I know it's the regular season, rest, and all that kind of stuff. But anything you remember about the game that they did that you learned from?
Yeah, I remember losing by 40.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
I remember winning the next day too. It's like, after a game like that, the best thing you could do is play a back-to-back, because all you want to do is overreact and you don't have time to. And we played Sacramento at 2:00 the next day, and we literally didn't have any time to do anything. We came out and beat Sacramento the next day, and that taught me that coaching's overrated.
Coach, you said the other day that at some point you're probably going to lose a game in this playoff.
I would think so. Yeah, that's the nature of it.
So what have you talked about with your team, or what do you know about this team that makes you believe they will be able to overcome adversity?
I mean, we've made a habit of that all year. So I don't really talk a ton of those situations. I don't create ghosts, to chase. We handle things as they come up. Everything for us has been new so far. So we just played our first playoffs, game a week and a half ago. It's the first time we've been up 2-0 in a series and had to go on the road. It's the first time we've had to play a closeout game. And so I think if you spend too much time talking about those hypotheticals, you can distract, a team that has proven that we respond well to different situations over time. And so we're going to be in a lot of different situations. That's the beauty of going through this for the first time. And we'll learn from them, as we have all year. We'll learn from the good, learn from the bad. If and when we lose a game, which I'm sure is coming at some point, we'll see how we respond, and then we'll learn from that.
So much of the defensive spotlight in the first round was on Lou and everything that he did, but Chet's defense was pretty outstanding too. What did you like about his performance in the first round, and how does that challenge for him change with the pick and roll and the lobs that the Mavs do?
Yeah, it all works together. It's never one guy in a team game. And so, you've got Lou and Dub and Kaysen, Wiggins, those guys really pressuring, Ingram and McCollum, and then you've got Chet back there, rim protecting. Not only him, I thought Shai did an exceptional job in that series, off of Jones. Jay Will always does a great job with the early help. So it all works together. We found a way to have it work together well on that end of the floor. But this is a different opponent that's going to require different schemes and that presents different challenges, and we got to figure out how to work together to solve those problems in this series.
Mark, after the last game of the year, you said the playoffs can be uncomfortable. What are some examples of that uncomfortable feeling?
I mean, everything about it's uncomfortable. You're playing against a high-level opponent with high stakes. There's nothing comfortable about it, but it's the pinnacle of competition. I mean, this is what everybody wants to be a part of. And so there's a discomfort to it, but that's what makes it such a valuable experience. That's what makes it such an enjoyable experience. There's no place we'd rather be than still competing in the playoffs right now. And we want to continue to earn our way to continue to play just like everybody else. But you have to earn it. And, that's our challenge right now. That's what we're focused on.
Mark, obviously, teams have thrown the kitchen sink at Shai all year. But with last round, I think it's being in the top 6 or so defense, having Herb Jones on him primarily, and then the rest of the guys building like a wall. Like, how does that maybe change the lens you view what Shai can do with the rest of these playoffs, and what teams can possibly throw on him from there?
Well, to be clear, nothing the Pelicans threw at him in the last series was something that he hasn't seen or that the Pelicans hadn't thrown at him in the regular season. And that's kind of my point is, part of the benefit of having as good of an offense as we did as early as we did in the season is it forced teams to adapt to us in almost a playoff-like manner early on and gave us a ton of exposure to a lot of different things. So there's nothing that Dallas is going to do, I don't think, that we haven't at least seen before, and that we haven't developed an attack against, and vice versa. There's nothing we're going to do to Doncic and Kyrie Irving that they haven't seen before. That's just the benefit of playing high-level games over a long period of time.
Luka's a little different in that he's a big physical wing. What do you do in terms of bracing for that?
Just make sure Lou is on time for the game. Dub, make sure Dub's pressuring. We have some dogs, that we have a lot of confidence in, and we have a team, behind those guys. They're not on an island against a player like him. Case and Wallace, you're not on an island against a player like him. So we all have to be locked in. But we're going to depend on our guys, and we have a lot of confidence in our guys, and so we're excited to see what it looks like.
Mark, did you bestow any parenting advice on Shai?
On Shai, no, not a ton of parenting advice. They're expensive. They take away all your time. They're inconvenient.
That's not advice.
And then somehow it's worth it, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. So.